Hello and welcome, disc golfers, to the Hitting the Line podcast. I am your host, Jad, and as per usual, I am joined by my brother, Nas Dog. Nas, how's it going, bruv?
What's up, Jetto?
Not much other than you're always eating your mic and our connection's not amazing, but we'll see what happens. So far, there's no problems. It's showing that it's not great quality, but we'll see what happens. So we are in Emporia, Kansas this week for the Dynamic Disc Open, the famous Emporia coming off of Jonesboro. Do you have any takes coming off of Jonesboro, coming into DDO, just anything in general about the state of the Pro Tour right now?
Yeah, I think the state of the Pro Tour is amazing at the moment. I was listening to the Upshot today, and they were talking about the average finishing place at tournaments for the past like 5 years, like the average difference in strokes. And each year it's just gotten better and better. And of course, this year, even more so. I think all of the Elite Series tournament winners have all been different. And we're getting more parity in the MPO and the FPO division, more parity than ever, which makes for really, really exciting disc golf. It's crazy to me that we got Jonesboro and Champions Cup back to back, which are definitely two of my favorite courses as far as wooded and then slightly more open, because I think Jonesboro is not like full ball golf style open, but it's a fun, challenging course. And yeah, we've been getting treated, man, to some awesome finishes. Of course, last week at Jonesboro, we had the spectacular playoff finish between Calvin and Paul, and also that final round with Kevin Jones, who was right there in the mix as well. Calvin and Paul finished at 26 down, with Calvin winning in the playoff. Kevin Jones at 25 down, Dickerson at 23, Gannon Burr at 22, Matteo, Simon, and Joel Freeman, and Alden Harris at minus 20. Ricky Wysocki, Thomas Gilbert, Ezra, and Mason Ford at 19 and 18 down, and Nico with the 15th place there. So awesome tournament. As usual, the kind of cream of the crop, Calvin, Paul, and Dickerson up there and then with Kevin Jones finally playing like I think we expect him to play all the time, but hasn't really been the case so far this year. It was awesome to see Simon shoot a blazing hot round in round 2, shooting that 14 down with the 13 down with the bogey, or was it a 14 down with the bogey?
It was a 13 down.
Okay. So that was pretty amazing to see. And yeah, so really exciting going into this week at DDO, which is traditionally a very fun tournament to watch, I think. We're getting a new course to see, the Supreme 18 out at Jones. And then, of course, we get Country Club. So it's just we've been getting better and better disc golf every week.
One quick thing about better and better disc golf, you skipped over an entire division, and that's the FPO.
Oh yeah,
Kristen Tatar obviously cruised the whole week, but a big W for us on this podcast is Kat Mertz showing out.
Yeah,
we've been on her all year, and look out, she can score, and it was nice to watch her in her home state tear it up. And she couldn't quite exactly push Kristen that you might want to see, but definitely showing the capabilities to creep around that top 5 and here to stay, here for the future, hopefully. So that was cool to watch.
Yeah, and that's another example of the FPO division with a decent amount of parity. You see up there Missy Gannon, of course, who usually plays well, but kind of started slow this year. Ella Hansen there, tied with Kat Mertz in 3rd. Holland Hanley in 5th, tied with Katrina Allen, who shot a pretty good 3rd round to move up a bunch of spots, followed by Paige Pierce and Valerie Mandajano in 7th. Lisa Fagus in 9th, and Haley King and Alexis tied for 10th place. So
is Kristen Tatar the number 1 female in the world, in your opinion, not necessarily by rankings?
100%. Yeah, I think she's been the most consistent.
I think so too.
She's like podiumed at every tournament. Kat can be hit or miss at times. She can shoot the hot round, but then she can also shoot a couple over. And seems like she kind of the past few rounds has not played as great as she can. She'll play 1 really great round and 2 just like okay rounds. Paige, kind of the same thing. We know she can shoot lights out at any time, but it seems that Paige makes a few more mistakes, or has made some more mistakes than Kristen this year. Of course, Kristen with the big mistake last week at Jonesboro, and all the drama that ensued there. But this division has become increasingly more and more fun to watch. And when I wake up in the mornings on Saturday and Sunday to watch, by the time I'm waking up, they're already playing, and I can pop it on and watch it and really enjoy it. So I'm always bummed out when the ladies finish and I got to wait for like 2 or 3 hours to watch the men. But that's a treat for me each Saturday and Sunday morning to watch whatever or whoever's playing. Let's see here.
Yeah, I couldn't agree more. I think Paige and Kat probably have a slightly higher but that floor for Kristen is just so much higher than both of those ladies that,
yeah,
I mean, she hasn't finished outside the top 3 in years or something like that. So
in a while.
kudos.
I think the last
Big
time
ups
she
to the
didn't
Estonian.
was at a
Oh, by the
European
way,
tournament.
go ahead. Yeah. I loved the commentary team in the booth. I thought this team was better than with Ian and whoever. I enjoyed Terry's little roll switch coming from the ground to the commentary booth. I thought he did a really good job. What I enjoyed honestly the most about it was he gives a nice silence in between a lot of the stuff, so it doesn't feel as much like a conversation. I enjoyed his silence, which is kind of funny to say, but I thought it was nice.
Yeah, I heard a really good point on another podcast where they were talking about it's not reasonable or fair, I think, for the DGPT to put Ian in a position to have to do FPO and MPO all 4 rounds every day. You just cannot keep up the same juice. I mean, I bet if you do that one round, you are exhausted and you need someone else to step into it because I think Ian does a great job generally. But I know that when you listen to someone for 4 rounds straight, their phrases become repetitive. You don't want to hear it so much. Because I love Ian and I love what he's done for disc golf. Central Coast has been around since at least Jomez, and have done a lot to grow the game of disc golf. So I got nothing but respect for Ian. I do enjoy his commentary, but I can see how it would how it gets repetitive, and some people don't enjoy it as much. I think you just got to mix it up no matter who it is. And I think that was a really good point of just like, you can't expect one person to do every division all day long. It's too much.
Yeah, that's a very fair statement. How many broadcasters do you know that do 6-7 hours of commentary a day?
Yeah, over like
they do one game. It's usually 2 hours. Yeah.
Yeah. So I think disc golf is getting better, and I am frankly surprised, but not surprised that so many people each week on Twitter and various social medias find something to complain about, whether it's the quality of the video or a turf tee pad or whatever happens.
And they always know what's best for the DGPT. You know, if they had all of that money, they would know exactly what to do with it and how to make it better for the hashtag growth of disc golf. Everybody else like knows exactly what to do in someone else's shoes.
Yeah, guys like us who have been playing a while know what the poverty days were like of like watching super grainy videos or hearing about tournaments and hearing about things that happened at tournaments far away on the course secondhand. And so like, these past 10 years of disc golf being on YouTube has been awesome, and it just gets better every year. And I'm not going to be upset about the little things when I feel like I get such a great product every weekend. So, that's the end of my DGPT rant.
I got one more. Yeah, I'm done with the rant too, but it's just like the last thing to add on. It's like, yeah, a lot of the problems that people are pointing out are so obvious, or it's like almost like they think the DGPT is incompetent. Like, dude, they're gonna see these things too. You cannot fix this tomorrow, because guess what? The second this tournament's over, they're on the road again and they got to go to the next stop, and they got to execute the plan that they already laid out months and months and months and months in advance. They can't just change things on the fly because you notice something on camera. Like, that's not how that works.
The PDGA, when they were doing more tournaments, people found a way to complain about that and say how they, the PGA is incompetent, blah, 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 blah. Now it's
most of these people who are complaining think the PDGA is the one doing some of these events.
Exactly. They don't realize it's all locals and AMs and volunteers and clubs getting together to promote their tournament, their course. Things can't always be perfect. Some of these courses are temporary. You can't put in cement yet. And so, yeah, it's just things that we are gonna have to deal with that are growing pains. But oh my gosh, dude, some of the tee pads you throw off at the Sows Winter Series, you're throwing off rocky, muddy pits. And yeah, it sucks when you throw a bad shot. And of course, you're Paul McBeth and you want to win, and it's serious. It's the big time. It's the big leagues. But like at the same time, I don't know, man. It's just like you can't expect this to be the NBA.
At the same time, that win does nothing for his career, and nobody will ever remember it or care about it either.
No one will remember that 5 years
has
from
no
now when
effect
he's
on
got
his GOAT
more worlds
conversation.
and he's got more majors. Like people think like, you know, you don't respect Paul if you didn't buy his like apology or his excuse thing. But like anyone who listens to us talk knows we think he's the best of all time. But it just seems cheap where each week it's I was sick, I have a hurt elbow, the T-pad. Like, dude, you're great. We know it. You're in that position every week. You don't have to like explain it away because you're that good. You don't need to explain that. Sometimes it's just not going to be
Literally.
perfect.
Yeah.
And that's okay. And
Yeah.
that's all you got, you know. So anyway, let's move on to this week.
Roll into our sponsors after that rant.
Yeah,
Please.
let's roll into our sponsors. You can see we're rocking our Till Death Disc Club hats. Check out tilldeathdisclub.com. If you use our promo code HTL Pod, you can get yourself a 15% discount on their sweet hoodies, their hats. Disc golf for life till death is their motto, and that's about one of the sickest catchphrases I could even ever think of. And I want to shout out Dark Ace Disc Golf Apparel in George. They make some super sweet gear if you like heavy metal music and heavy metal inspired shirts with really just dope designs, bone baskets, you know, Anarchy A's in your stamps. If you head over to the website now, they've got a bunch of new discs. Promo code HTL will get you a little discount there. They got some Discmania in, some Innova, some Wizards and Voodoos. So go check out Dark Ace Apparel. And of course, Prize Picks. Prize Picks is the first app to ever take a chance on disc golf and give us some action. We want to shout them out. So check out their website or app, which is what we use to kind of build our show around each week. Prizepicks.com. Use promo code HTL to match your deposit up to $100 right away. You can play with that money right off the bat. So thanks to our sponsors making the show possible. But yeah, let's talk DDO, or if you are a little bit more of an OG, formerly known as Jad, can you tell them? Are you as OG as
The
you think
glass
you are?
blown open.
Yeah, glass blown open. They changed the name a few years back, but no matter what it was called, Paul Macbeth has kind of owned this tournament. They should rename the town of Emporia to Macbeth, Kansas, because the guy dominates there. And I'm, you know, if we're picking just winners, I think it's going to be a Paul win for sure. I think he's pissed off after last week. We know how Paul can play and how he can get dialed when he's in that zone. He is the GOAT. I think Ricky's going to be right there. I think Calvin's going to be there. And this is a 4-round tournament where the cream really rises to the top. It feels like a major almost with 4 rounds and a cut. It feels like a major. And so you really get the opportunity for the
Worlds is
the
going to be
best
there
players
this year too. So
yeah,
this is
and
a
it's
nice
like a
little
world's
preview, by the way.
preview. Oh, it's fun. Yeah, this is awesome. This is
Yeah.
great for us as a sport. We have a new course, the Supreme 18, which is Eric McCabe's, I think, just like mega 18 of all the Jones courses. I'm not 100% sure on that. Don't quote it, but it is supposed to be a really fun layout. And as much as I used to kind of hate on the courses there because they're so open and park, it feels like park disc golf versus like some like WR Jackson feels like woods golf. But I think it's a good course. They add a lot of out of bounds to make things tough. They use islands. But I think it's a good representation of what you could do with that type of property and make it a really great course. So it's going to challenge our best. I think we're going to see a lot of 10s and 11s would be optimal in prime conditions. But as we're looking at the weather moving forward, looks like there's going to be some rain and some wind. Scoring may not be as high as in the past, but I think history is showing us that each year players are getting better and the average scores are getting lower and the margin of victories are getting lower. So I think guys can go out there in the wind. It's not like there hasn't been wind on tour this year and that guys all of a sudden can't score. In my bets last week, I took some overs because I thought the weather was going to affect people that final round, and it didn't. They went out and shot great still. So the best in the world, I mean, even in 15 plus mile an hour winds are still scoring on these courses. They're very good. These courses that would destroy normies like us. So
let's talk about it. Of course, this whole show is pretty much brought to you on the backs of, you know, betting on disc golf. So let's talk about how this might affect our bets for this week. As you mentioned, we are on 2 different courses. We have the Supreme 18 as well as the Country Club, which we're used to. However, they did make a handful of changes to the Country Club, making it a little bit tougher and a slightly bit longer. People are saying it's going to play harder.
Inside sources say.
Shout out John 5 Ash. And yeah, so our first round of betting on Prize Picks, they are not doing totals for the round for strokes. I
Yep.
imagine this is because they're probably scared that it's a new layout and they haven't seen it before, so they probably don't want to get their butts whooped. But they did do a lot of hole by hole prop betting, and I think this actually gives us a slight edge as bettors because lock time is not going to be until that player tees off. So you could possibly, let's say you pick pick Ricky for example. Um, he's going to be teeing off later in the day. Some of these guys are teeing off 2-3 hours after some of the first MPO tees off. So you
Yeah.
actually could get half, you could see most of the field play some of these holes and then make your decision on whether you want to bet the over or under on the hole. You could literally see a sample size of half the MPO and say, oh, with this wind, the wind has been blowing headwind on hole one all day, and majority of the field is averaging over a 3. So
Yeah, you could
I'm
go
hitting the
on to
over on that.
UDisc and look at the actual live
Literally.
average of that. So betters, if you're listening, you don't get this advantage hardly anywhere else where you're watching this. And like, but Jed, I will say they are a little bit smart. I noticed I pulled up the board, Kevin Jones, Ricky, Calvin, and Kyle Klein are the first ones there for hole one that you can choose, but they all tee off at different times. So if you make a four pick entry, you got to have the entry in by the time the first player tees off. So like, for
Fair enough.
example, the latest you could wait here's if you wanted to make a two
Kyle
pick.
Klein's at 9 a.m.
No, 11
He's in the
a.m.
first group.
Kyle Klein, it says
Um,
right here, 11
oh,
a.m.
well,
And then
he's the first
Calvin is
group,
at
right?
7. No, Calvin is at 7:40 a.m.
Oh, it's Calvin. Okay.
So Calvin, and then Ricky doesn't play till 12:34. So if you wanted to pick all four of them, you got to have that in by 7. So I wonder, I'm gonna do a quick little
But you still
peek
have all
here.
of the FPO to watch on hole
You're
one
right.
anyway. I'm pretty sure hole one is the exact same. The rest of them are a little bit different, but
Or
at least when FPO tees off, you'll still get beta of the weather, the
yeah,
wind on some of the
yeah.
holes.
It's still a
The
huge
direction of the
advantage.
wind is going to be important too on some of these holes. Some of them are
So
direct water carries. Go ahead.
so hold two, for example, you only can choose Conrad and Brody. And so, but they only tee off 20 minutes apart. So you could wait a little while, see how that plays, get hole two, see if they think they're going to birdie it or not. Hole 6, you've got 4 choices. One, the earliest tee off is 9:30, the latest is 12:50. So for some of these, you're going to have to make them ahead of time if you want to do a 4 pick. Or you could wait and maybe do some power plays if you feel really confident because you've watched something. So yeah, it's just something to keep in mind that they're not all teeing off at the same time. So as you're looking at the board, keep that in mind about how you want to make your picks. So yeah, these prop bets are really cool because of that advantage. And so I'm thankful that we have them this week because something kind of new to do. We've been playing
Yeah.
overs and unders so far, and this is the first, I think maybe the first or second prop bet of the year that we've seen.
Yeah.
So yeah, do you want to get into the holes that they gave to us and what we think about each hole and what we think about the players and the lines?
Sure. Yeah, and again, we mentioned weather is going to be an important factor. So just keep all of that in mind while you're watching this. Tomorrow, the weather is going to be something like a little wet, anywhere from 50 to 80% chance of rain. Winds only peaking at 15. The next couple of days after that are going to get a little bit worse, and then Sunday it's probably going to clear up. So keep all of that in
Yeah.
mind. Watch your FPO, watch the early MPO, see what it looks like. But getting into the holes, hole one. I'm not going to go hole by hole for all of them, but I will tell you the ones that I really am intrigued by. Let's start with hole
Okay.
one. Hole one is what, almost 300 feet. It's an
A little bit
island
more, I
hole.
think.
No, I think it's a little bit less.
Oh, okay.
It's an island hole. You have to land on the island. It's a pretty tough island. It's even raised a little bit. And there's a gap that you have to hit. You can't just hit some kind of spike hyzer or anything like that. There is some woods on either side. So this is something important to note is, again, the wind. If it's a headwind, I'm sure most of these players could even, you can lay up the island, and it makes you go for the birdie on the over or the under. So
Yeah.
there's multiple ways where they could not get this birdie. They could purposely be laying up or they could miss.
Yeah.
So I really, and then the combination with the weather, I really like the overs on hole one. I think you're going to just, you can like, it's hard to say, oh, well, this guy is going to go over, this guy's going to go under. Honestly, I just like mixing and matching the overs on hole one for all of them. I don't think you have to
You're
necessarily choose
100%
one
correct. I
specific
think
person.
there is no one player that you're going to say, Oh, they have a huge advantage. This is a shot
You
that most players
yeah,
should have in their bag, and you're just playing the numbers. You're saying most
yeah,
people are not
exactly.
gonna park this hole, and then a certain
Yeah.
percentage of those people will get close and skip out of bounds, and a certain percentage of those people are just gonna play for 3
And
regardless.
and
But
just pick the person that you want,
yeah,
really.
but to be fair, Eric McCabe said too in his little video about it is that, you're playing it as an island regardless if it's from your first shot or your second. So you might as well go for it on the first shot, go to your drop zone if you miss, then try to play it safe. Then your second shot, you miss the island, and now you're playing from the drop zone, you know.
Yeah.
So I think most guys are going for it, and there's gonna be yeah, I think there's gonna be more people that take that would be over 2.5 strokes on that hole. So I'm gonna be making the cards overs, just like you said.
Yeah, and another hole I find intriguing is going to be the only hole that I feel like pretty confident that you could probably get away with some unders on, and that's gonna be hole 6. Hole 6 is just over 300 feet. It's a water carry the whole way. The pin is gonna be relatively close to the water. It's gonna be an elevated pin, but the OB is going to be pretty far behind it. Eric McCabe said he doesn't expect people to
Yeah.
go that far OB deep. And I just think it shouldn't be that big of a problem with winds at 15 miles an hour for our players
No.
to
No.
throw a 325-foot hyzer or forehand and then make a 20 to 25-foot comebacker.
Yeah.
And the
Agreed.
reason why, and initially I was not very intrigued by hole 6 because I just thought overs are going to be safe with weather in general. But when you do mix in some unders with your picks, that's when your multiplier on prize pick starts going up. So if you
Yeah.
picked all overs, you might only get like a 5x. If you literally throw one under in there, that turns into a 10x
7.5 or
sometimes.
8. Yeah, I
Yeah.
think it depends on
Yeah,
how many people
exactly.
you have. But yeah, and then if you really mix it up and do like half and half, because I was messing with it earlier, you can also go up more.
You can go
So
12x.
yeah, you can go
Yeah.
12x. So if you really feel like you want to play a little bit more risky and be like, I just know Hamas is gonna miss it. I'm gonna choose 3 unders and an over, then go for it. You
3
can,
overs and under. Yeah, yeah.
yeah, you can gamble. So, but I
Yeah.
agree about hole 6. I think that's one that's going to play easier than hole 1. So maybe choose unders on that one and overs on hole 1. What's the other one here? Was it hole?
The other one I really love, it's actually my favorite one, and I'm hoping that it's a headwind really bad. My favorite
Hole
one more than hole
11.
1 is hole 11. This is a
Yeah.
500-foot par 3.
Yeah,
It
dude.
is slightly downhill, so it makes it a little bit scary, and we obviously know all of our top pros have 500 feet in their range, but if there's a headwind and, the pads are a little bit wet and there's a chance, for slippage or this or that, it's maybe not necessarily that likely, and it's kind of like a gap shot. You actually have to hit there's a little bit of tree coverage. They're little
Yeah, there
small
is.
trees, but they're there.
It's not easy.
You you can't just throw like a spike high. You can't just throw it straight and hard. Like, you're still hitting gap. So I like the overs for hole 11.
Yeah, well, I lost you there the last 5 seconds before you said you like the overs before 11, but I've got 11. There's 3 guys, Paul, Calvin, and Dickerson. Again, Calvin tees off super early, so I'm going to go ahead and probably put this in now. If you choose them all overs on the power play, it's 4x. If you choose a flex, it's only 2x. So if you really feel confident they're all going to go over or play it safe and just try to take their 3 and walk away, which is what I think they're going to do, I'm going to go ahead and I'm going to put the power play in on that 3 pick over because I think
Yeah. Yeah.
that's their safest
Yeah,
pick there.
I mixed almost all of my plays with guys on that hole 11. And if you do have to choose, I guess I choose Chris Dickerson because Calvin's got that mean line drive with the Halo Destroyer, and maybe Chris's
Yeah.
arm isn't as big in a headwind. So I like
Yeah,
Chris
that's a
Dickerson
really
over
good
hole
point.
11 as like my quote unquote lock of the week.
Yeah. Oh, I think that's solid. Yeah, 2 unders and an over there.
Well, you don't have to go 2 unders. I'm just saying.
Or sorry, 2 overs. Yeah, you're right. Sorry.
I'm just saying if you have to choose one of those guys to go over, I like Chris Dickerson, and that's my lock.
Yeah. What about, let's see, do you want to talk about 14 or 15 or 17?
I didn't think either of those were of mention. Again, they just seem like relatively like fair holes. 14 and 15 did, and it's kind of hard to choose what's going to happen. I don't have like any inside beta or anything, but hole 17 I think is another tough hole. Eric McCabe even said if you're in position to score on this one, like good for you. There's plenty of OB on the hole. And so I liked hole 17. There was some decent OB. I'm gonna take some overs on that one as well, especially if the conditions are not great.
Yeah. I think that's a
So
good call.
Yeah, so my strategy this week is holes 17, 11, and 1. I'm going to be smashing a lot of overs. Hole 6, I'm going to be mixing in some unders to make that multiplier go up, and that's pretty much all I'm doing. And I'm just mixing and matching $10, $10, $10, $10, $10, and just doing all the different combinations that I can. If I get it in a 10x somewhere, like boom, I'm already in the profit. So,
Right. That's a
yeah.
good way to think about it. Yeah, I'm looking at 17 on the map here, and yeah, there's definitely a decent amount of out of bounds there. So it's looking like a fun. This course looks really fun. I think it's going to be cool to watch and super enjoyable, which I didn't originally think that that's how I would feel about it. So
Well, well,
um,
something that I thought of earlier today is, and I feel like I've heard this in the past, and so I am curious, is what it looks like with on coverage with so much OB. I wonder if we're gonna know if players are OB or not, because that is something disc golf will have to fix in the future. Just going back to the broadcasting, this and that is like, are we gonna, as fans watching the stream, are we going to know if somebody's out of bounds or not with so much artificial? I hope it's obvious. I think a lot of it on this course actually is because there was some highly mowed areas where out of bounds was, and it was like a different color, like maybe it was hay instead of grass or something.
yeah,
It was something like that. So
and
I
and
hope
they
when we're
they do a
watching we
pretty
can
good
tell.
job in Emporia getting the courses ready, having a ton of volunteers and helpers and flaggers. But yeah, I get discouraged. I don't like it when the shot is thrown and I don't know right away if it's out of bounds or not because there's just artificial stuff. So that's kind of one of my pet peeves as well. Is I just don't like when it lands. It's like, well, is there is there a line there? Is there flags? What's the deal? You can't tell. So yeah, I think those are
But like
the
you said,
toughest. Go ahead.
well, Emporia, like you said, Emporia does a really good job. This is what this town waits for all year. I was reading an article, and they were saying this is a town that's small enough that it can feel the economic impact of all the people
Yeah.
coming through,
Yes.
but also big enough to support it. And it's like the perfect combination. And
Yeah.
everybody in the town caters to disc golf during this weekend. It's what they look forward to. And
All year,
all the disc
really.
golfers love, yeah, literally all the disc golfers love being there. And all of the local restaurants and shops are like waiting, and they have disc golf signs up and this and that. And I just love that somehow this
And
small
isn't
little
there like
town.
something like 300 AMs come and play all week before the big tournament?
Yes, our good buddy Andy Miller is there right now.
Shout out Andy Miller.
They are the only tournament that has a the elite because the disc golf pro tour doesn't allow am sides to be played the same weekend
Yeah.
as obviously the pros, but Emporia has so many courses that they can fit all the ams in on the same weekend.
Yeah, I was looking at the caddy book. It's ridiculous. They have like what are they playing like 6
And
courses total?
Andy told me he's playing his round, and his round's over. He's getting food, and then he gets to watch the lead card tee off. I'm like, dude, playing in an NT event, or not a national tour, but like
Dude,
an elite series event, and then getting to watch the lead card right after sounds like heaven. I was like, dude, I need to go soon. I need to.
I was about to say
I feel like
my
everybody
life
needs to
is
do
going to
play. This sounds
get
amazing.
exponentially busier here in the next year, but 1 year we have to get out and I'll take the week off work. I'll use my personal
Well,
days, whatever, and
if
we
we
got to
don't do
get out to
Emporia, we
DDO.
have to do an elite series somewhere. But I would love to
Yeah,
do DDO. Yeah, like,
that'd be
absolutely. It
cool.
sounds amazing.
It's just like, yeah, it is a mecca. I wouldn't say the, but I'd say it's
It's a week
a
of disc
mecca.
golf celebration.
Yeah, it's awesome. And like doesn't get better than that with so many courses and like you said, the city, all the bars, the restaurants, the breweries are like ready and they're having putting leagues at night and there's the mini world championships and like things like that where they just take the whole town and it turns into it's a disc golf festival basically minus music.
Yeah,
But actually I did hear I think James Conrad and someone else were trying to get like a disc golf festival. How sick would that be where you play in a tournament all day and then watch live music and party all night?
yeah, sounds epic.
Speaking of that, I was going to say, I think that kind of wraps up some of our um, prize pick stuff. Unless there's more you want to mention, do we?
No, I think that's it.
I will quickly update my bankroll challenge. I'm after placing my bets this week, which was 3 bets, 3 $5 bets. I'm at 96, so I'm down officially for the first time.
Ooh, you're the first. No,
Uh,
I was down at one point, I guess.
yeah, you were down, you degen. But
I
if
was.
I
Well,
hit
yeah, I
any of
went through a
these
whole roll at one
tomorrow,
point.
if I hit any of these tomorrow, I will be back over in the green. Like I said, I think I overestimated the weather last week, played too many overs. But then again, a couple, just a stroke here and a stroke there from some really big
It
cashes.
was a stroke here and a stroke there because so
Yeah.
I'm only up 12% right now. After
Yeah.
round 1, I was up 67%. Rounds 2 and 3, Paul beat me by 1 stroke both times, in which I would have made a ton of money both times because I stuck to our normal strategy where we pick the highest amount or the lowest amount of strokes and then take the over. Paul beat me by 1 stroke back-to-back days, and then the last day Calvin also got me by 1 stroke. So I'm only up 12% now, but green is green, and if we get the sweat and the entertainment, it's well worth it. I think we both agree with that.
Yeah. Like I had a 4 pick the final day. Kristen under got it. Matteo under got it. Garrett Gerthy over got it. And I went Sarah Hokum over because I thought with the wind and not a ton of distance, she got the under. So I only got, so
you
that
lost
was a
money
4,
to Sarah Hokum. Brutal.
Yeah. I took so that was a 4 pick flex that missed. And then I had one just completely bomb. I guess it didn't bomb terribly. I went Kyle Klein under and he shot a half stroke over. Simon under, he did it. Sarah over, she went under, and then Eagle did not finish his round, so that kind of against me. But then I had another, and then I did have a hit. I had 1 3-pick power, Eagle over, Kevin Jones over, and Gannon Burr over. That I think that was round 2. And another round 2 5-pick flex that hit, but only for $1.50. Paul hit was 1 under his score, missed it. Calvin was 1 under his score, missed it, and that would have been a 5. So those 2 strokes, that would have been a 5-pick flex that would have hit for 10 or 12 times. Or so, yeah. So a stroke here, a stroke there, and I'm huge in the profit, but that's the way it works, and it's a lot of fun to watch, and that's why we're doing this. That's why we're doing this podcast, man.
Yes, sir.
Any updates in your own disc golf life? I think I mentioned it before, but I got the McConaughey tournament. I'm stoked on that. You played in a tournament and your girlfriend did as well. What was that tournament and how did you play?
So I played at the Motherlode Open, something like 30 years running, something crazy. At Condon. Anybody who's a California OG knows about Condon, home course of Greg Barsby. Garrett Gerthy's played there a bunch of the old school Innova guys. That's pretty much where they started. And officially the best course I've ever played, like no doubt in my mind. We got to play 2 different layouts, 18 holes and 27 holes. They have like 5 different layouts for every single hole. It's crazy. All the signs.
This is in Grass Valley,
California, and then
other
course we played.
Yeah, a lot of those guys.
Other course we played was in Penn Valley. I think it's called like Hanging Oaks.
Western
and
Gateway
honestly,
Park.
I shot really mediocre. I played AM2, took 4th out of 40. I'll take it. I was, quote unquote, bagging according to today's standards, only because
to be beat by 10 strokes.
Well, that guy would have took second in advance by like 1 stroke.
Yeah.
Otherwise, I was right there.
But to me,
I had to play intermediate because I had to play intermediate because Jamie, aka my girlfriend, she was playing, because it was 2 different courses. The intermediate people were on the same course, so I had to be on the same course as her for transportation purposes. But go ahead. What were you saying?
I was going to say, in advanced, you would have taken like 9th or 10th. So like
I would have taken tied for 12th.
Yeah. So like for one person
out of 40,
who is bagging, the guy who is finishing towards the top of MA2, or is that
like 970,
or is that the real MA2 player, the guy who is finishing towards the top of MA2? Or are you reaching then when you're, only tied for 12th? It's like, that's the thing with these ratings. I think the PDGA really needs a revamp with so many new players and people who, just like some tournaments don't even have AM3 or 4 as an option. And a lot of these guys are just going out there and getting their butts kicked and calling the rest of us baggers for playing in our rated division. I think AM4 needs to be bumped up or bumped down maybe to like up to 825. Maybe AM3 is 825 to 875 or 880. Maybe M2 is 875 to 925. And then maybe M1 is 925 to 950 or 60. And then after that, I don't know, maybe those other guys should play open. I'm not really sure. But anyway, congrats. You did really good on your tournament. You got 4th.
All valid talking points.
Yeah. How did Jamie do?
I don't think I did good, honestly.
No,
if I would have had experience on either course, I would have saved strokes everywhere. I thought so. We put it this way: we both shot above our rating every single round. So
and Jamie looks like she was only 5 strokes off the lead, so she played well.
Yeah, she was in it the whole time.
Yeah, that's exciting stuff. All right. Well, one more time, we want to shout out our sponsors. Till Death Disc Club, Dark Ace Apparel, and Prize Picks. Hit us up on Twitter, Hitting the Line Podcast on Twitter. You can find me at HTNASSER. Jad, where can they find you on Twitter?
You can find me at a disc 44007. That's the exact same thing TikTok as well. And you can find our podcast at _ hitting the line on Twitter. Hit us up there, DM us, say anything, mention anything, or maybe tweet at us, interact. We'll be tweeting from our account all week as they come, so pay attention there. And I think that's it. Not anything else.
That's about it, Jad. Until next week, we'll be tweeting live and trying to make some money. We'll see you guys next time.
Peace.